What's up, people? Hey, welcome to the number one podcast. I am your host, Coach Jake. And boy, is it bright enough in here? I can't tell. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing good. While we're waiting for people to show up to the live, let me just get the chat so I can see what's cooking on the chat. I want to talk today. The title for the talk today is ROI Revolution. Okay? Because some things have a better ROI than others, right? What is ROI? First of all, let's define our terms. Return on investment, right? This is the number one thing you should be paying attention for is your return, not price, right? So I've been studying this stuff for a while. I'm trying to figure this out with my own businesses, trying to study at the feet of the masters the same way I did with wrestling. I'm trying to figure this out and then pass it along to you guys. That's how I'm providing values. I'm a research guy. I love to experiment. I'm a science guy. I love to do all that. Got my master's degree in financial math. Last year, I was the 10X Performance Coach of the Year for Grant Cardone, number one. I've got these great stats, and I just wanted to share some of this information, this research I'm doing for myself. Thought I'd help you guys because this is what I do is I help people win. Now, obviously, a lot of you guys may know me from scientific wrestling, maybe from the Mace Bell, maybe you know me from the 10X world. I don't know. But regardless, I'm here. What are the things that you should be focusing on right now? And I want you to have like hope here because it's actually the number one investment in yourself. That's the number one investment is investing in yourself. And I want to talk about how you can do that and what the actual numbers are like here, right? So, and forgive me, I got my notes here. So this is I'm a data guy. One of the things that's cool is, like I said, I got my master's degree in financial engineering, and I am the chief data officer for the 10X Business Performance Coach program. And data is super important. Like what Grant Cardone would say, the math is the path, or what you measure gets massive, or you won't get quality without quantity. Grant's so great at putting these more complicated ideas into pithy phrases that are good for you to memorize if you're interested in having impact, being a business owner. You know, the funny thing is most people go into business not to become wealthy. Of course, that's a perk if you can pull it off. But, most people want to do it because they want to make an impact in something they care about, maybe something they're good at. Okay. So for me, I started out my business journey in wrestling. Well, that was really the first thing that took off. I had actually tried a couple other things first and they didn't go. And so I stumbled on wrestling, boom, went off. Then I circled back to the first thing I tried, which was fitness, and the Mace Bell, boom, took off, right? So anyway, I'm glad you guys are here. Hit me with a number one in the chat. Give me a roll call. Where are you calling from? Or where are you tuning in from? I know we have a lot of people all over the world, people from like France, Canada, Iran, all over the world. Of course, tons in America. Give me a roll call. Love to give you a shout out. This is live, by the way. I'm live right now. You can type whatever. I'm transparent. I'm going to try to help you out and answer your questions. So anyway, what is your best investment in 2025? Where should you be putting your time, effort, and money to get a return on it, right? A lot of times what we have to do is we have to break out of this middle-class mentality about price. Oh my God, that's too expensive. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. What if I gave you something and it had $1 million price tag? But if you gave me $1 million, I would give you $1 billion. Pretty sure that is not expensive when you look at it in the context of what is the actual ROI. I don't even know if that's resonating with you, but I want you to start thinking in terms of like, what is the return on my investment? Fair? Because whether you're trying to make $10,000 or $1 million, it's going to take the same amount of effort and work. So, the whole thing with 10X, Grant's idea, is that you might as well go for the $1 million thing. And it strategically makes sense, not just like rah cheerleading, like, oh yeah, hey, think big, aim for the stars. All that's actually kind of true, those cliches. But really, tactically, and strategically, it's more important because if I say, hey, you, Johnny or Sally, go out and get me $10,000 by end of week, okay? Versus, hey, Sally or Johnny, go out and give me $100,000 by the end of the week. What's the difference? It's going to change what are the activities you do and who you do it with. Same amount of work. Okay? You understand? It's important. So now, if we're looking at return on investment, let's talk about kind of the basic asset classes that you can invest in. Okay? Stock market took a giant SHI, you know what, today? The Dow. Now I got out. By the way, my portfolio, I think I did like 14,000% return. I shorted Pfizer right before RFK got in. That when you short a stock, you make more money when it sinks. I made a killing on that. I rolled that into the S&P. The first time the S&P took a crap this year, bought it low, rode it high, sold it, took another crap. And right now, I'm actually invested heavily in oil futures. So I do play the stock market, right? The oil futures. Why? Well, a lot of times when the economy is bad, what the war machine likes to kick up, and usually they kick up in areas that got oil. I mean, we just saw, a lot of saber rattling about Iran. There's a lot of stuff, so oil prices are very closely tied to some geopolitical things. And I like to take a gamble on that. It served me well. One time, right before the Iraq war, I was short. I went long on oil futures at $28 a barrel. That stuff went up to like over $100. Went to like $120. I got out at about 80. I got too freaked out. I'm like, this can't keep going. And it did, though. Made a lot of money back then with that. Now, so the stock market, that's one place that you can make money. Right? What would Grant Cardone tell you? He'd tell you real estate. That worked out really good because he was able to take his money, his income, push it into passive, and that liberated him and compounded, allowed him to do some really crazy things, right? Now, what else could you invest in? So there's stocks, there's like other companies, there's real estate, there's your own company, so entrepreneurship, small business, right? And listen, they say more millionaires were made in real estate than any other industry, while more billionaires were made in private equity, that is non-publicly traded small business, okay? Entrepreneurship. Kind of interesting statistics too when you hear people like Cody Sanchez and all these other people try to pitch you on boring businesses. Well, it is kind of true. You know what business made more millionaires than anything? Business, not real estate. Business, dry cleaning. Now, is that a business I would invest in now? No, because I don't see much of a future in it. I don't see many people doing dry cleaning in the future. I don't know. Maybe people start wearing sports coats and stuff like I do. But anyway, just some ideas. So then what is the last one? If we have your own business, small business, real estate, or the stock market, the last one is the one I talked about at the top of the hour, or top of this talk. Yourself. Education. Right? So I told you I got a master's degree in financial math. I have an undergraduate in English. You could get Grant Cardone had got his bachelor's in accounting. Okay, so which of these particular ones that most commonly people have access to should you be investing in? Now, I told you that Grant would say invest in real estate, but actually, I know a lot about Grant being his number one, the 10X Performance Coach of the Year last year. Okay, I really spent a lot of time studying this guy's wisdom and his results, which are like absolutely nuts. Okay, he would actually say real estate might be number two. Number one, you should always invest in yourself, and that's what the statistics really bear that out. Okay, and I'm going to scroll through here. Okay, so the typical return on an MBA, which is like a master's degree, which is not as an MBA. So I got a Master of Science in Financial Engineering. That is very, very difficult. I wouldn't recommend it for your average Joe. And especially difficult for me because I went in with a bachelor's of English undergraduate. So I did literally had to learn finance, learn math, and learn computer programming all to get through my master's program. It was brutal. Okay. I pulled it off 2002. I got my degree, but it was very, very, very difficult to do it that way. So an MBA though, and now they have these executive MBAs, you could get an MBA or get an executive MBA at night, right? And now there's online learning and stuff. Like it's amazing. So typical ROI on an MBA is between 186% return and 1,139% return on investment. Number one investment is investing in yourself, okay? Now that's just something like an MBA. You could do it even easier than an MBA. For example, right now, you could go get a certificate in something like vibe coding or this AI enabled coding. Anybody could code now. I hate it. When I did my degree, I actually enjoyed, I think my number one class that I just rocked it was monetary theory and policy. I just crushed that. Number two was actually statistics. Number three was financial instruments. Okay. The worst two things that I hated the most when I was getting my master's degree, this investing in myself way back then. I hated accounting. I still don't like it that much today. It's important to know. And I hated computer programming. But today, with all they call it vibe coding. You got to look this up. It's amazing. You could create apps instantly, like boom, like that. It's amazing. Okay. So vibe coding, super easy, a very simple way to upskill and make some money and go to market. Okay. So let's talk about that. Okay. Number two, your own business. Now, the statistics that they give on your own business, the numbers that the AI crunched for me said it was around 15, anywhere from 10 to upwards of 20, 30% on average for your own business. Okay. So we saw that we were talking 186% to 1,139% investing in yourself. Okay. Clearly that's the numbers. Investing in your own business. Now, the thing that I want you to understand, this is where I spend a lot of my time right now being 10X Performance Coach of the Year. I spend most of my days now coaching other people, right? That's why I have like this number one coaching is this is where I spend most of my time these days. I'm 51, 52. I've had some modest success, but I've aligned myself with some mega players like Grant, Brandon Dawson, these other big-time mentors of mine, and invested in them. Talk about upskilling, right? So really trying to learn from those guys. And I'm telling you, dude, starting your own business is really brutal. I do like small business, but dude, you're way better off acquiring a business. I'm happy to help you. I've acquired multiple companies. I've helped people acquire companies because the hardest part, remember I said about, you could upskill, learn vibe coding and stuff. That's great. You could have a killer. You could have the best product in the world. But if nobody knows about it, who cares? That's the hardest part. Amateurs try to start their own business. Experienced people buy one. There's a couple advantages here because the hardest thing is not that people get this misconstrued. They think it's product or service development. No, the hardest thing is client acquisition or distribution. That's brutal. Okay. So if I go and I buy a pre-existing business, I go and I look at this business and, I think the stat is something like 10,000 boomers are retiring a day. And of that, a good significant portion have their own small businesses. So they're out there trying to get out of these deals, and you can come up with creative financing. There's ways. That's what we did. We had somebody who was older wanted to retire out. We did a creative deal to get acquire the company. There's all kinds of ways to do that, right? If you don't have money, we didn't have money, still don't have it. It's all everything's tied up in these businesses, but we're building for the future. This is what when you look at what people historically that crush it do. You've got to invest like 10 years in something. Give it 100% of your potential. So when you buy a company, go and shop for a company. It could be a vending machine route, for Pete's sake. They're very profitable. Probably the number one thing right now are these self-storage things, but nobody wants to sell them because they're like an ATM. They're so easy to run. But there's other businesses out there, laundromats, whatever. Maybe you invest in timberland, right? And you buy a company that harvests wood for all the paper straws that people have to buy now, right? Ironic. So the thing is, if I buy a company, I know I can look at the books before I purchase it and see if it's already got a client list, if it's profitable. So this was something I learned when we acquired the company. All of a sudden, all these private equity guys were rolling around sniffing at us now. And I had a different perspective. And I for sure thought they wanted the IP, the technology, because we've got the best technology. I mean, we had never been replaced. We replaced every client, like really great software. But no, they didn't even care. They wanted the client list. They wanted the customers they wanted the cash flow. Smart. That's the way to do it. This is what I ended up learning. I've worked in investment banking. I've worked in mortgage banking. You want to acquire the cash flow. Again, Grant would agree with this, right? This is the advantage of real estate. But let's talk about real estate. Real estate actually has the lowest return. Okay, so investing yourself 186 to 1,139%, huge. Your own business, very variable. Okay, lots of upside, but you could get a big fat zero. Stock market, 7 to 10%. We're looking at the S&P over, like a 10-year return type of deal. Okay. Real estate is lower. Okay, 10 to 14%. Okay, I mean on average it's 5.5%. If the market's real high, you can get up to a 14, but on average over time it's a 5.5% return. However, the thing that gets ignored here is your biggest expense. This is where you sometimes got to know more than the AI. Your biggest expense, does anybody know what that is? You want to throw in the chat what everybody's biggest expense is? I could tell you. I mean, that might ruin the surprise. Anybody? All right, fine. I don't want to have a lull. Tax. So here's the problem. Yeah, I go and I crush in the stock market, right? I get what they say was like a 10% return on my investment, right? The rule, the rule of 7 or whatever? Your money will double every 10 years if you invest at 7%. So, right, because of compounding. Anyway, problem is you get hammered on the capital gains. Whereas real estate, there are so many laws that real estate is very tax advantage. So you could be losing 20, 30% of your upside. So all of a sudden, that 10% ain't looking so good because the man comes in and takes all the money that you made. Right? Now, that's relevant for today. Right? Because I guess to our Canadian friends, you got a new prime minister. But Trump made the pitch this morning. Let's see if I can find the pitch. This is Trump's tweet this morning. I love this. The guy's hilarious. He's good and bad. There's things I like it better than the alternative. I'll put it that way. So Trump tweeted this morning, "Good luck to the great people of Canada. Elect the man who has the strength and wisdom to cut your taxes in half, increase your military power for free to the highest level in the world, have your car, street, aluminum, lumber, energy, and all of the businesses quadruple in size with zero tariffs or taxes if Canada becomes the cherished 51st state." So Trump, on the day of this election is pitching still to acquire, is talking about a big acquisition, acquire Canada as the 51st state. Says, state of the United States, the 51st state of the United States, no more artificially drawn line from many years ago. Look how beautiful this landmass would be. Free access with no border, all positives with no negatives. It was meant to be. America can no longer subsidize Canada with the hundreds of billions a year that we have been spending in the past. Makes no sense unless Canada is a state. That's some wildness, dude. That's wild. Trump's a wild man, right? So and if it ain't going to be you, Canada, it's going to be, what is it, Iceland? Is it Iceland or Greenland? I can't remember. I think it's Iceland. Anyway, we're just talking about acquisitions. And the guy just cracks me up. Anyway, so, and Trump made a lot of money both in real estate and his own businesses, right? So it's something to be learned there. Now, one of the things that I'd like you to do is I'd like you to really take into account here the lessons here that the numbers, right, the data is telling us your best investment is in upskilling yourself. Upskilling yourself, right? Oh, gonna sin. Trump, here, let me share this. Trump isn't a wild man, he's a moron. I don't know if he's a moron. He somehow got himself into the most powerful position on the planet. And I understand, I don't like everything about Trump. There's plenty to criticize. I just know that, dude, way better than Kamala, but I appreciate you jumping in. So let's prioritize upskilling. Where is your greatest opportunity for personal improvement of value to other people? Remember, anytime that you are trying to bring value to the marketplace, your value is going to be determined by the problem you solve for somebody with money, the money to solve the problem or whatever, right? So what is it that you can, who has a giant problem that you have a skill set or could easily improve your skill set to up level this other person in exchange for money? Everything, there's two ways to get along in this world. Consensually and non-consensually, right? And business is about consent. Says, hey, this is my stuff, that's your stuff, let's trade, we both walk away happy. Or if we don't want to trade, then we're still happy or whatever, right? What is it? Gunnison says, did you change this channel from scientific wrestling? Why am I sub to this? I have no idea. This is my personal channel. I have two channels. So I can't tell you, dude. I happy to see it, but yeah, I have no idea why you're here right now. This is only going out to my, you're on my YouTube, by the way. This is Number One Coaching YouTube, which is my business development company. So, sometimes I cross post wrestling material because it's relevant to me and wrestling business stuff here. So I don't know if that answers your question. That's probably why you're here. Anyway, guys, this channel is all about, I do talk a lot about combat sports because I talk about, because I'm in that business. I talk about business broadly. I talk about fitness because I'm also in that business. But it's really about, so what is coaching? Let me just get this out of the way. What is coaching? Coaching is the practice of increasing somebody else's performance, right? That's what I'm bringing to market. For example, okay? So talk about upskilling. So why am I the number one coach for Cardone? Why? Because when I take my experience, this approach that I do, this data-driven approach, the principles that I've learned in business from Grant, Master of Science, Financial Engineering, my own entrepreneurial experience, business acquisitions, all that kind of stuff. I can go in and I can help these other companies get up to speed quickly. Does that make sense? I have my own stats here. If I can tell it to you real quick. I find this stuff absolutely fascinating. I love to measure things. So my top clients, okay, so I've helped hundreds and hundreds, and I can get those stats. The top cohort, the people that perform the best, right? And again, because even if you're coaching anything, if I'm coaching boxing, softball, basketball, soccer, football, whatever, you're going to have people that are really good and people that are not good. It's just a normal distribution, right? The average is in the middle. You'll have a loser's tail and you'll have a winner's tail, right? That's how that basically works. My top clients working with me get a 2.76 revenue multiple in 9 months, meaning I almost tripled their revenues. If you were making $100,000, you made $300,000 within 9 months. Crazy, dude. That ROI is better than Bitcoin. Hate to break it to you, okay? The industry standard, though, for coaching in general, this is according to the International Society for Performance Improvement, coaching improves performance by, it gets you an ROI, of industry-wide 221%. Now, again, my numbers again, so you are 220%. That's doubling your money industry-wide. Any coach, not me, any coach on average, a 221% return. That's according to the International Society for Performance Improvement. That's the ROI. So at least more than doubling your money, doubling your investment, according to them. Now, my stats, though, of course, compared to them, I'm 4.64 times better ROI than the industry. Mine is 1,026%, which is almost, I'm not quite there yet, but I could I have some pretty amazing clients get to do some great stuff this year. That 1,139% on investing in yourself. So what I look at is you hire me as a coach, you're investing in yourself. You're the athlete, but I'm the coach. I'm here to shortcut it, right? Does that make sense? So anyway, guys, I don't know if this is useful. I'm going to always be here for you with regards to questions. I don't check the comments as much as I should, but it's just because I'm super busy. So that's why I go live. And then hopefully we can edit out some of these little mini clips to throw up and you can get some nuggets here and there. But I will help anybody. I give anybody 15 minutes of my time. And you don't even got to buy me a cup of coffee. Okay. If you go to numberonecoaching.com and just find an area on my schedule, which might be difficult to do these days, but I try to make it available. I even opened up on Saturdays, so I'm kind of taking away personal time to help people. But I will get anybody 15 minutes. And dude, believe it or not, you'd be shocked what you can do. You'd be shocked what you can do in 15 minutes. And just to having the right information, just like I was saying, like going after 10,000 versus 100,000 is changing what you do and who you do it with. That could change everything alone. So anyway, appreciate the heck out of you guys. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for checking me out. If you haven't, please subscribe. If you think this kind of thing might help anybody, that's my number one thing. That's why I'm doing this. I could be doing a million different things. I'm here right now because I want to help people. I'm a blessed human being. I've had the wonderful fortune of being able to go pursue and make the sacrifices and put in the work to learn this stuff, to experiment. You can learn from my failures as much as you learn from my wins, or the failures and wins of those that I'm studying, these big shots, right? And that's not just in wrestling. So like Gunna Sin, whatever, he knows me from wrestling. Well, that's what I did there. Went right to the source. Frank Shamrock, 4-time undefeated UFC champ, learned the style that I'm into from Minoru Suzuki. We learned it from Carl. Okay. Carl Gotch. I went right to Carl. You can go to carlgotch.com. Proof. Billy Robinson, there's tons and tons of me and Billy going around the world trying to help people improve their grappling. The coach of Sakuraba. But I did that also on the business side. So again, obviously, the guy that I align the most with is Grant Cardone. And I've proven it, again, with my results and my stats. And getting the number one, the Performance Coach of the Year, 10X Performance Coach of the Year at the last Growth Con for 2024. I'm pushing hard to make it again 2025, but you never do know because I got some stiff competition out there. But I will literally make 15 minutes for anybody. If I can help you on anything that I'm good at, I am happy to help you because I've had people help me, right? I came up, my mom and my dad, neither one of them went to college. Okay, I've got a master's degree. My mom and my dad, great parents, but my dad married and divorced. It's his birthday, by the way. 84 years old. Can you imagine? And people think he's 60. But in his life, he's had a bunch of wins. He's had a really fantastic life. But in this case, where I'm going with this is I'm very self-taught. I've been married 19 years here this year, almost coming up on 20 years, 3 wonderful kids. Despite my parents not really being married, right? And multiple marriages. I went to college on a scholarship. Nobody done that before. I was able to build up scientific wrestling and go learn from the very best on the planet. Like all this stuff, I'm happy to help you. That is my purpose here, right? I want to help. And you can see, even, let's be real, man. Let's be real. There's so many people that I've helped and they haven't reciprocated. In fact, a lot of them have actually turned out to be snakes, jerks. And I still help. I still help. Even when they've been total dicks and then they come back, oh, I'm so sorry with the bullshit lies, I still help them. And then they turn back into snakes. I mean, I want to help people. We've got a very short time on this planet. You want to do an exercise? Do this. Get a piece of paper. Do 11 lines vertical and 11 lines horizontal. That'll give you a box of 100 boxes, or little boxes, right? A grid. From the bottom right backwards, like you're reading backwards, fill out, let's say, let's fill out, what would that be? 24 of the boxes, black them out. Okay? So you only have 76 boxes available from the left down, like you're reading. Then, once you've filled, blacked out the 24 boxes, then like you're reading a normal book, black them out the other way for your age. My example, 51. Okay. So what's 51 minus 76? 25. Why would I come up with those numbers? Well, because why is 76 significant? And actually, this is really fucked up. Pardon my language, but actuarial tables. This is insurance companies betting on average life expectancy. The average American male's life expectancy in the last couple of years has actually gone down. It used to be 77, 76. The best bet that they're going to make on you, assuming you're average, you don't have any other health issues, you're going to make it to 76 years of age. That's the average. Okay. I've already spent 51 of my years. I got 25 less. That means I've spent 2 times the amount of life as I have left. My legacy, I want my legacy to be that I help people. I'm not a perfect person. Sometimes people piss me off and I react. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes, but I do my best to make the mistake once if I do and learn from it and then help people. And that I think is the reason why I've been able to be number one in so many different respects. And I'm here to help you. I do want to help. So again, if you are interested, go to number1coaching.com, spelled like this, N-O-1, number1coaching.com. And then there's a calendar link right there. You just schedule an appointment. I will spend 15 minutes with anybody. Anyway, guys, I'm going to jump. I got another mentee that I got to help out right now, but it's always a pleasure. And again, reach out if I can. Thanks again for watching.